Welcome to Battleground Politics. I'm Mayk. If you want to gauge the importance of Pennsylvania in the presidential race, look no further than a week-long stretch in mid-April when former President Donald Trump came to the Lehigh Valley and Joe Biden made 3 stops in Pennsylvania, including in Philadelphia. I was at both the Lehigh Valley and the Philadelphia stops. The visits were different. The Biden event was in a rec center where he was being endorsed by members of the Kennedy family. Notable because they are siblings and relatives of Robert Kennedy Jr., who has mounted an independent bid for president. The Trump event was a rally in Schnecksville in the Lehigh Valley. Let's start there. The rally was 2 days before former President Trump's criminal trial was set to begin. It was a Saturday, a very windy day, I should note, and people were there for hours before it began. The first people I met were Dave and Lori Redline.
This is the first one. It's
okay.
Awesome. Yep,
what are you wanting to hear from him?
Just make America great again, like we know he's going to do. We want to hear what he's going to do. Basically, you know what Trump's going to do. And I think everybody's kind of, if you haven't made up your mind by now, you're kind of in the wrong place, because it's got to be Trump, because our United States is going to heck.
What's important to you guys this year? What are the big issues motivating you?
The economy, for one thing, that's a big thing. The border obviously is a big thing. It hasn't been really affecting us too much around here, but it's it's everywhere. And I think because of all that, not that hey, we're a country of immigrants, but let's come over the way everybody else did. The people who went through the whole process, yeah, it takes a while. They don't like it either. So I think that is another big problem. And just the way everything is going right now, it seems like we're giving people way too much stuff. And for we're working class people. And it's taking effect more on us than it is anybody else.
He put out, former President Trump put out a message this past week on abortion. That's been an issue that's been popping up. What would you like to see him do on abortion?
I think what he made, he was on TV or wherever it was the other night, and he came through. It should be a states' right. The Roe v. Wade thing was just, that was just bad right from the start. You know, let the states decide. If you live in a state that wants it, if you don't, I mean, I'm in between on the abortion thing. It has become a big thing, and I think he made the right decision by just letting it up to the states to decide which state they want to do.
Here's Lori Redline's take on that issue.
I feel like it's okay in some instances. There's a need for it, but I think it's choice. Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
It's a complicated issue.
It's a touchy situation, yeah. I want to say I'm pro-life, but there are certain situations that it's called for, so yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you comfortable with where Donald Trump stands on it?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm Trump all the way, you know.
Okay. And did you guys vote for him in 16 and 20?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And he has your vote already this year?
He'll be back.
The former president had just put out a video message on abortion in the week before this rally, taking credit for the ruling that overturned Roe versus Wade and saying that it would be up to the states what happens next on abortion laws.
What would you like to see him do on abortion if he gets in?
Let it up to the state decide. But overall, it's a woman's choice. I'm very torn about the whole abortion thing. But I think if somebody gets raped or, abused or something, that child might not be happy. And you can adopt it, but I'm very torn about it.
Abortion was not one of the issues voters listed to me as their top concerns.
When he was in office, I was doing great. And then when he was out, I was,
Struggling.
Yeah, struggling, yeah. And I'm just here. I want where I used to be,
Did you vote for him in 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you vote for him in 2016?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And does he have your vote now?
Yes,
Okay.
he sure does.
Tell me what the biggest issue is for you this year.
Biggest issue. Actually, the people coming over. Immigration, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Bad. It's bad.
That's majorly bad.
Okay. Immigration for you. What about you guys? What's important to you this year?
Inflation. Everything being so expensive.
Do you feel like if President Trump gets back in office that he can do something about that?
Absolutely.
What is it that you think that he will be able to do if he gets in?
Bring the prices down. gas, everything, food, everything went crazy.
Well, our money's not worth anything.
No, it's not.
Our money is worthless anymore.
Yep.
They're printing too much. But really, for me, it's the corruption in Washington. It's out of hand. We have to fire everybody.
Are you guys
Everybody
worried
needs
at
to
all?
be fired.
Are you guys worried at all? President Trump on Monday has the first criminal trial that starts. Jury selection starts. Are you worried at all about what might happen in that trial and what
Well,
the?
it's bogus. It's like it's a set-up lawfare. We all can see that. We're not stupid. You set it up. The Democrats set it up.
Does that mean you're not worried about it though?
Well, he's probably the jury's probably going to find him guilty because they're corrupt, and then we'll have to win on appeal, I guess. I don't care if that man's in prison. I'm still voting for him. Like, that's how it is. Try it.
And you feel the same way about that?
Yes. I'm a Delco guy.
Okay.
Trump's, they're trying every angle to get Trump. Everything they're trying,
They're going to try everything.
people are realizing it. Everyone knows it. That's why you have so many
we
people
see
out here
what's
now.
happening.
Even if there's a guilty
Oh, if Trump was found guilty? Yeah, I mean,
on any of the cases,
absolutely.
you would still vote for him.
Yes.
In the following days, Trump's trial began in New York, and President Biden made multiple stops in Pennsylvania. His stop in Philadelphia was in North Philly. Now, Biden comes to town a lot, but this stop in a neighborhood seemed to make an impression to those I spoke with.
How do I feel about him coming to North Philly? It's shocking. It's like, wow, Joe Biden is coming to North Philly.
Some of the people I met here came out because they heard the president was coming. Some live and work in the area. And near the center, there is a small farm and produce stand that distributes fresh food to the community.
I'm excited that Joe Biden is coming. I hope that he comes see our farm. I work for Sanctuary Farm, so we giving out free produce to the community. And I think it's good that he's coming and interact, especially in the middle of North Philadelphia. You know, it's a lot of violence and things around here, crime. So the fact that he came around here and wanted to see what we doing and talk to us and talk to the people, that's great. And then also hopefully come get some apples or something like that, because we give out free produce, Sanctuary Farms again.
How do you feel about how he's been doing these past 4 years as in office?
Okay.
What do you think of the job he's done?
Well, again, I'm young, like 25, so from the younger crowd, we'll say that we really don't know what he's doing and stuff. Maybe that's why I'm glad that he came, so we could see more, we could hear more, we could talk to him more. Because honestly, in my age group, we don't know. We'll probably say he's not doing nothing, but it's just because we don't know much. You know what I mean? So
He needs to tell people.
yeah, get more connecting get more connection with the group, with the younger group too. Because me, I'm just like, oh, Joe Biden coming. That was just a spur of a moment thing too. I didn't even know he was coming. So it's like, oh, so he should be out here more, be talking. I hope he come out, shake our hand, be with the people. It's good to see the politicians, but if you want our vote, you gotta come speak to the voters. You know what I mean? So that's great that he's coming.
How are you feeling right now? Do you think that you would vote for him?
Well, we'll see. He still got a little more proving to do to me. Because, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a politician person. I'm a younger crowd, haven't seen, but we're going to see. We're going to see. May the odds ever be in his favor, so.
Did you vote for him in 2020?
I did vote for him for 2020, and like I said, I did it because it was the whole big thing. Vote for Biden because he was better than Trump. But now I should have been more involved in knowing, like, what he's doing, the policies, things he's going to change and stuff like that. So going into this election, that's more of what I'm worried about and more that I'm I'm focused on. What can he do?
You've got the same matchup this time, Biden versus Trump.
Yeah. Right.
Would you consider voting for Trump?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't consider voting for Trump. But that is what it is. Like I said, I'm not a politician person. So if I am going to vote for Joe, let me see what you're offering, and let me see not just words, action.
And I know you said you've got Sanctuary Farm, you've got all kinds of fresh produce and free that you're giving out to the community. Prices are something that have definitely impacted families in our area. Do you think that affects how people feel about President Biden, how much they're paying for stuff?
I mean, sure.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
Right? Yeah. How did
I just don't understand. I don't mean to bash nobody, but I don't understand how Trump even got to do anything else after he did that Capitol and all that like that. So I would never, ever, and I didn't vote for him the last time, I voted for Biden. Okay, a lot of people ain't seen what Biden done or haven't heard a lot of people because they're not paying attention. Sometimes you got to listen to the news stuff.
Right.
But this is a blessing to get him in our neighborhood.
Right.
like the young ones, to see him personally, you know, and I appreciate that. Daggone right, I'm coming out here to see him.
Right. Did you come out here just maybe catch a glimpse?
I jumped in the shower and I was all like this to get ready to come see him.
If you get a chance to talk to him, what would you want to say?
I would want to tell him, I'm not going to bash him either, because I want to tell him he's doing a good job. Everybody's not paying attention.
Right.
You know, everybody's not paying attention, looking at the news and stuff. That's very important to look at the news.
You think what he's done is not maybe getting through to people?
Because people's not paying attention. You understand? And some people.
So how do you think he gets people to pay attention?
He's got to do, like he's doing this today. He need to do this more often. He did it other places, but Philly, to come this close to our neighborhood in North Philly, you understand, is a blessing. It's a blessing, and I appreciate it. I ain't gonna get teary-eyed, but I appreciate him.
You guys were paying attention in 2020 before that election.
Yeah.
So think about how far we are now from this election compared to the last time. How are you feeling this time?
It got a little better, but the crime rate got no better. But it got a little better with certain little things that he's doing for the people in the world. You understand? But the crime thing have gotten worse to me, and I know he can't help that. We ain't got enough police. You know what I mean? They had to hire more cops and stuff like that. So, but otherwise, I think he's doing the best he could do.
I think he did good considering the way he got the baton to hold from Obama. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Because every time it seems like a president comes in on an election, it's always a piece of their, as I say, garbage is left that you have to clean up. You understand?
The older community and the younger community bridging the gap. Remember how I said that we don't know, but obviously they know more. They paying attention more. So if y'all was the bridge the gap, I sit there and talk to you, tell us more what Biden doing, so we won't just be like, man, he ain't doing nothing. And we can see it. And then the elders, our ancestors or our elders, I'm sorry to say that, just explaining to us what's going on and getting us more involved. Because like you said, Biden is coming into, you know, a situation.
You know what I mean? Coming into a situation. And then again with Trump. You know what I'm saying? And I don't understand if I heard all the rhetoric he put down when he was running for Trump. And I'm listening, and I saw you had an opportunity to do what you needed to do for us, and you did absolutely nothing.
Nope.
And I'm still puzzled about how are you running, and like you an indictment. You know, what is this world coming to? I mean, really, what is our nation coming to? You indicted, you got cases up against you, but you still could be running in a campaign to run for president. I never heard anything like it in my life.
On the corner, protesters gathered. The protest was related to the Israel-Hamas war. I spoke with Tia Carioli from Mount Airy.
I'm out here today because this is an opportunity for me to tell President Biden that we want to see a change in the policy. We want to see a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. We need to stop the killing of tens of thousands of children in Gaza. And my tax dollars are supporting this. I don't want my tax dollars to be supporting this anymore.
We have heard somewhat of a change from the way the president has spoken about it and from the White House in terms of the conversations with Netanyahu. What do you think of sort of that evolution, and are you satisfied with what they are saying now and what the president is saying now?
I'm not impressed. I'm not satisfied. It's meaningless unless we stop funding Israel, unless we stop funding sales of arms to Israel. It's U.S. bombs that are killing these civilians in Israel. So until we stop that, it doesn't matter if we're sending aid to Gaza. We have to be stopping our funding to Israel that is sending these bombs that's killing these kids.
Did you vote for President Biden in 2020?
I did.
Do you plan to vote for him this year?
You know, I don't know what I'm going to do in November. I think that there is an opportunity to start a conversation based on what happens in the next few months. So if he starts listening to the majority of Democratic voters who do not want the U.S. supporting the genocide in Gaza, then we can start a conversation to see what's possible in November.
Was there something that specifically impacted you that you saw or heard or conversation that you had that made you want to get involved, stand out here, and sort of take a stand on this?
You know, I've been watching for 6 months now this genocide unfolds on Instagram. I've been watching the journalists in Gaza on the ground that are filming the atrocities that are happening. I'm seeing the bodies of dead children being pulled out of the rubble. And so as a parent, I have a 2-year-old, I cannot watch that without feeling motivated to act.
How much time are you going to give the president to make the progress that you want to see?
You know, I think he could stop this tomorrow. So we'll see, you know. I think that right now the message is we are uncommitted. I'm not committed to Biden. I don't think that my vote is owed to Biden. I am a Democrat. I've been, you know, a Democratic voter my whole life. That's changing for me now. My thoughts and opinions about how I use my vote is changing now. So we'll see.
Would you consider voting for former President Trump?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Would you consider voting for a third party or just not voting at all?
I think that my options are open right now. So I want somebody to earn my vote.
She told me she was planning to write in uncommitted for president in Pennsylvania's primary. Pennsylvania is an important swing state and likely to see more visits from the candidates throughout this campaign. Let's bring in David Barrett. He's a professor of political science at Villanova University. Thanks for joining us.
No, my pleasure.
So what has your experience been in how much of an impact in-person, on-the-ground visits make in a campaign?
It's something that the candidates have to do. Presidential candidates have to do the in-person appearances, really in the swing states mainly. I mean, frankly, it doesn't matter much if a candidate goes to, say, New York or California because, or for that matter, Alabama. We know how those states are going to vote. But in the swing states, if a candidate were to sort of lay low, that just wouldn't work. So Trump and Biden, presuming they will indeed be nominated by their conventions, which seems, of course, obvious, they'll be here. They need to be here.
Does the type of event make a difference, whether it's a rally or a small event or meeting with organizers somewhere? Does that seem to make a difference in terms of what that event looks like?
Well, I mean, I think if a candidate simply comes here to meet with, you know, big money supporters, that sort of thing, I think that has literally zero impact in the sense of how the vote goes. Although, of course, if the candidate gets a lot of money, well, there is that. But I mean, they need not only to come to the state, but they need to be publicly visible. It sends a message to the voters. And they're both going to do that. Whatever, you know, sort of private meetings or small scale meetings they may do, they're both going to do major public events. You can count on it because they know they need to do it in the swing states like Pennsylvania. And in our case, we're in southeast Pennsylvania. And in our case, we have these huge suburbs where, you know, Trump would need to improve his performance and Biden needs to sort of sustain the performance from almost 4 years ago.
They're in different situations at this point in the campaign, of course, because President Biden also has Vice President Kamala Harris, who can also make trips. Former President Trump does not have a vice presidential candidate at this point. He also is in court for a number of days per week, at least while this trial is going on. But he doesn't have that extra person out there. Does that put him at a disadvantage?
Honestly, I don't think it matters a whole lot what the vice presidential candidates do. Surveys have shown for a very long time across many decades that vice presidential candidates just don't factor in very much at all in how people vote for president. So, of course, Kamala Harris will be here campaigning, of course. But the fact that Donald Trump does not have a vice president, I would say, doesn't matter hardly at all. Furthermore, he could always announce in a week or a month or whenever before the convention, if he wishes, who his vice presidential running mate is. So running mate for vice president versus an actual vice president, I just don't think the voters will care much about that.
Okay. One of the things that is different in this rematch that we are seeing this year is that back in 2020, when these two men ran against each other, we were in a pandemic. So there just weren't as many in-person events. How does this change the dynamics this time and the expectations for people?
Well, it does place expectations on the two candidates to be effectively visible with a good deal of frequency. Of course, I mean, who knows what the Trump trial, how things are going to play out in this particular trial. But I mean, whatever, they're both going to need to be visible. They're both elderly, no offense. You know, I'm not a young person myself, but there is that factor. Can they be with it? Can they be sharp? Can they be effective speakers? Or will they, either then or both of them, make big mistakes? Because a person who is, 77 or in his early 80s typically doesn't have the energy, the stamina of someone who's, 44. So I think we can all think of major verbal flubs that both of these men have made in the past few months or so, the past year or so. And really, it will be helpful for them individually if they don't make those kind of mistakes.
Don't want to make mistakes. Yeah, good advice for any candidate, certainly. Well,
and they both know that. I'm sure Joe Biden says to himself, "Now, Joe, don't forget so and so's name." And Trump may say the same to them. They know that, but knowing it doesn't mean that it'll necessarily stop it from happening.
All right. Well, we've got quite a ways to go before November, and probably quite a few visits to go as well.
Yes.
Professor David Barrett from Villanova University, thanks for joining us and sharing your analysis.
Thanks. My pleasure.
You can find more of my interviews with voters, politicians, and political experts right here on our Battleground Politics feed. You can find it on NBC10.com, on our NBC Philadelphia YouTube page, or wherever you get your podcasts.